Why are lightning cables so expensive? And can you get away with cheap ones? With Apple asking upwards of $30 per cable, it may be tempting to look into alternatives. Lightning cables have two integrated circuits, one for proving the device is an authorized Apple cable, and the other for providing power protection for the device. So why does it matter? Well, there have been cases of devices getting damaged from uncertified cables, even cables melting. Now obviously, some cables are better made than others, but the logic stands to reason that if a manufacturer is going to cut corners to avoid paying Apple for the real McCoy, they're probably cutting corners on other components that are supposed to be protecting your device as well. So let's take a look at some cables, shall we? So this is a clone cable. This one is pretty poor quality overall. They do attempt to make it look like the original Apple one. You can tell that the wire is thinner. The rest of the connector, I mean, some of the dimensions are not exact to scale. As we cut into it, you can see that there are just two small ICs here. There's supposed to be a metal solid shield around the entire connector underneath the plastic, which we can see is not present here. So here we have another aftermarket cable. Now, this one is fortunately not trying to deceive anyone. This one is very obviously an aftermarket cable. It doesn't appear that there's any sort of metal inside this cable. So this is definitely a reverse engineered clone cable. Or reverse engineered aftermarket cable, sorry. There's nothing that prevents a company from making a adequately protected cable. It's just when you're cutting these corners to cheap out on costs and you don't want to pay the certification, are you really putting in adequate protection into the cable end? Probably not. So this is another one that's very similar to that first one we looked at. And there, so you've got the sizing between the two. So you can see that the cables, although it's meant to look very similar, the sizing, like it's not a perfect clone. This one was made obviously very cheaply. The one on the right, by the way, is a genuine original Apple cable from an Apple product. And on the back here, you can see where the USB Type A, where it's stamped together, there's a lot of precision in the genuine one, whereas there's a bit of a gap in the non-genuine one. And we've got the same thing here, just a circuit board with the wiring. If we cut the other side open, we'll see the two ICs, the handshake IC and the alleged protection IC. So any cable that looks like this with a little board and those two ICs just sitting like that with nothing, with no metal casing wrapped around them or anything like that, that is your telltale. It doesn't matter how genuine that they say it is almost certainly fake. This is one that I actually got scammed on. I was told this was a genuine original cable. Lettering, like everything on the box looks like so perfect, even has a UPC code. You know what? I was handling the cable, feeling the cable. You can see that even when it's round, it's got like sort of edges in it from how it was wrapped in the packaging. The genuine ones don't do that. They're perfectly round. But even comparing the lightning end, they're like pretty identical. Like you cannot tell unless you're even looking really closely. Cable thickness is about the same. Everything else is pretty near perfect on this thing. So even looking straight into the USB Type A cable, they went to great lengths to make this thing like it. I mean, you can see that it's not 100%, but it's so darn close. Like it would almost seem like it's manufacturing tolerances. Really, the difference is the feel of the cable. The material of the cable and the way it flexes is different. Even down to the stamping. Like they actually went to lengths to stamp "Made by Apple in California" right on the cable. This cable is actually brand new. I actually bought two of these, and I don't want to destroy it because it's a good lab cable just for doing tests and stuff. So I'm not going to cut this one open, but I did cut the other one that came with it, and I did cut the other one open, and it did have a connector like this, where the with the two chips and no metal shielding around it. So you really got to be careful because yeah, some of these counterfeits, like these guys are working really hard to fool people with these, and you know, I almost got fooled with this one, and if I hadn't have cut it open, there's no way I would have known. So lastly, we have this PrimeCables cable. This one is bought directly from PrimeCables, and this one claims that it is an MFI certified cable. If it is, this is a pretty good deal. I think these were running about $12 Canadian for these cables. And yeah, if this is a certified cable, that's about as cheap as I've seen them. So let's open this up and find out. This one I just got. So what we do care is what's inside the connector. And I'm going to actually sacrifice this cable. I'm going to cut it open and see what's inside. Cable feels pretty good. The nice thick wiring, it seems like anyway. And there's no reason to believe that this one would be of subpar quality as far as the wiring and connectors go. It seems to be decently made. That's what we're supposed to see in all the cables. That is the metal protective housing. That will be in every single genuine Apple cable. If you don't see that in a cable that claims to be genuine, the cable isn't genuine from Apple. As far as MFI goes, I believe, I don't know for certain, but I believe that is a requirement to have that. And here I found a genuine cable that was a little bit damaged. So I didn't want to wreck a good one because, you know, like these things are expensive and don't want to wreck a perfectly good cable. So here is a genuine one that was a little bit damaged that I was repairing. And you can see the metal casing is around it to protect the IC and all the stuff inside. That is what a genuine one should look like if you cut the casing off of it. So that is something I did want to talk about for a while now. Just in regards to the Apple cables being outlandishly expensive and what the difference is between cheap cables. Bottom line is a cheap cable in theory can damage your iDevice. There are reports by shops that this does happen. I've never seen it happen, but I'm always very particular to use decent quality power adapters with cables all the time. And quite honestly, I think that does play into it. If you're using a low quality power supply that is maybe not properly regulating voltage or allowing spikes or allowing ripple or noise to come through, using that in combination with a cheap cable would definitely have a higher possibility of causing damage to your device. So in summary here, these cables, this was not a sponsored video, but I'm going to leave the link in the description below to these cables. I do recommend them, at least for now. I have not used them substantially yet, but they appear to be adequate as far as build quality. They do appear to be certified as advertised, so I don't see any reason why I wouldn't want to use these. So yeah, hope you found this video informative. Please leave a like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon, and share this with anyone you know who might be tempted to buy those sketchy no-name cables. Until next time.